You know, in an age that was all about dazzling progress and innovation, one man took all those modern tools and twisted them into a literal factory for murder. Today, we're diving into the truly chilling story of H. Holmes, a charismatic doctor who would go down in history as America's first modern serial killer. So, picture this. It's 1893. Chicago is hosting the World's Fair, this incredible beacon of progress. They called it the White City. It was all about celebrating human achievement. But right in the shadow of all that hope, a dark mirror image was being built, a place designed not for inspiration, but for extermination. To really understand the man, first, we have to step inside his creation, the infamous building that would earn the terrifying name, the Murder Castle. So, if you were just walking by on the street, it looked totally normal, a legitimate business. The ground floor had a pharmacy, some shops. The upper floors, they were advertised as a hotel, perfectly placed to catch all those visitors flooding into the city for the fair. But behind that respectable front, its walls were hiding a meticulously engineered factory of death. And this is the truly chilling part. This wasn't just a building where bad things happened. No. This was a machine built for the specific purpose of murder. It had rooms that were completely soundproof to muffle screams, secret passages so he could move around like a ghost, gas jets piped right into guest rooms to asphyxiate people in their sleep. This whole place was designed with one goal in mind: to control, to torture, and to kill with a terrifying industrial efficiency. So you've got to ask yourself, right? What kind of a mind could even dream up a place like this? Well, to answer that, we need to meet the architect of all this horror, the man who called himself H. Holmes. Well, for starters, he wasn't born H. Holmes. His real name was Herman Webster Mudgett. He was a medical student at the University of Michigan, and that's really where you see the dark patterns start to emerge. He was already using his access to the anatomy lab's cadavers for things like insurance fraud, and he developed this macabre fascination with the human body. A skill set that he'd later used not just to kill, but to expertly get rid of the evidence. And this is where it gets really clever. In a terrifying way, he basically created two different people. On the surface, he was H. Holmes, a handsome, intelligent, charming doctor. But underneath all that, he was a master manipulator, a totally cold-blooded con artist who saw other people not as human beings, but as well as disposable tools for his own dark games. Okay, so we've got the predator and his hunting ground. Now let's take a look at his process. Because this was anything but random violence. It was a chillingly methodical system. The really cruel part of all this is that Holmes literally fed on hope. He preyed on young women who were new to the city, people drawn there by the promise of the World's Fair. He'd offer them jobs, a place to stay, this illusion of safety, all while using his charm to lure them right into his trap. And his method, it was just so cold, so clinical. This wasn't about rage or some sudden passion. It was a business to him. He'd lure them in, use the crazy architecture of the castle to trap and torture them, murder them, and then, down in his macabre basement, he would dissect their bodies and dispose of the remains in a furnace. He literally turned murder into an assembly line. But a web of lies and murder this huge, this complex, it just can't last forever. Something's got to give. But it wasn't the countless deaths that first brought him down. Nope, it was his greed. The irony here is just, wow. After building a literal factory of death and getting away with killing scores of people, you'd think a body would be his undoing, right? Nope. It was a horse. A simple insurance scam involving a horse finally put him on the radar, not for murder, but for fraud. So he gets arrested back in 1894. And that's when investigators start pulling on this one little thread of his financial crimes. And as they pulled, the whole horrifying story just completely unraveled, leading them right back to the secrets hidden inside his Chicago castle. In the end, he was only convicted for the murder of a single person, his business associate Benjamin Peisel, and he was executed in 1896. So Holmes was dead. But in a strange way, his story was really just beginning. He left behind this incredibly dark legacy that would pretty much define a whole new kind of evil in the American consciousness. In his confession, when he finally came clean, Holmes admitted to 27 murders. Even that number alone was just absolutely shocking to the nation at the time. But here's the thing. The true figure? It's probably way, way grimmer. Because he had this perfect system in his basement to literally make people disappear, historians estimate the actual count could be as high as 200. The full, terrifying truth is something we'll probably never know for sure. And that is why we're still talking about him today. It's why his legacy is so enduring. Holmes wasn't just another killer. He represented something new, a modern kind of evil. A predator who operated with the cool, calm detachment of a surgeon, twisting all the new tools of a modern world into instruments of atrocity. I mean, think about this combination. He was incredibly intelligent, he was charismatic, he was charming, but inside there was just nothing, a complete and total void of empathy. And that chilling blend of traits created this terrifying template for the killers of the next century. Holmes proved that the most dangerous monsters aren't always hiding in the shadows. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight. In the end, the story of H.H. Holmes leaves us with this really haunting question. In an age of just boundless optimism and progress, he took ambition and ingenuity and turned them into a weapon. His murder castle stands as a terrifying reminder that sometimes the brightest light can cast the very darkest shadow.